So the court is going to respectfully deny the request to test items 13 and 14.
This morning, a major setback for convicted killer Scott Peterson in his quest for a new trial.
And based on the argument that was articulated today, the court finds that there has been failure to demonstrate a sufficient chain of custody that would permit the DNA testing to be completed.
A California judge denying all but one of Peterson's requests for new DNA testing on evidence his attorneys with the Los Angeles Innocence Project say was initially suppressed.
Your Honor, we would submit there's a reasonable probability that favorable DNA results would have changed the outcome at Mr. Peterson's trial.
Peterson, now 51, joining the hearing virtually from prison, where he is serving a life sentence without parole for the 2002 murders of his pregnant wife Lacey and their unborn child Connor. His attorneys asking to test a sample of a mattress found inside a burned-out orange van the morning after Lacey disappeared, which they believe could contain traces of Lacey's blood.
Should Lacey Peterson's DNA be found anywhere, that would be irrefutable exculpatory evidence supporting Mr. Peterson's claim of innocence.
The prosecution pushing back that DNA testing done in 2019 showed no blood on the mattress and only male DNA.
These are claims that have been previously litigated.
The judge siding with the prosecution, saying the van is not related to the trial. But the judge is allowing DNA testing on one item, duct tape found on Lacey's pants when her body washed ashore in San Francisco Bay.
Do you think the DNA on the duct tape would still even be viable this many years later?
Arguably, yes. Arguably, yes.
Attorney Mark Garagos represented Peterson 20 years ago and disputes the prosecution's claim there's overwhelming evidence against him.
If it was overwhelming, there would not be this fascination with what does the new evidence show.
Now, a hearing about testing that duct tape is scheduled for July. Scott Peterson's brother and sister-in-law were here at the courthouse to support him. They did not respond to reporters' questions about that judge's ruling. Lacey's family has not commented. Guys.
All right, Liz, thank you. I want to turn now to NBC News legal analyst Danny Cevallos. Hi, Danny. So there were a lot of different things that the defense was hoping to get retested. Only one piece of evidence will be. What do you make of that?
Yeah, really what the judge did was basically deny the motion almost in its entirety, concluding that the items in the van are no longer in custody, the hammer, the glove, the things that washed ashore. The defense didn't meet their burden, and that's the key. They have the burden here to show that they could be connected and that they, if tested, could result in a different outcome. And the judge concluded that as to everything other than the duct tape, they didn't make that showing. And it makes sense with the duct tape because the duct tape, it's known that it was actually attached to Lacey. So there's a stronger argument to be made that DNA could yield something interesting.
So just with that one tiny piece of retested evidence, if it does show something, is that all it takes for a new trial?
That DNA is the most common, most successful, newly discovered piece of evidence. It's the strongest case to be made for a new trial. There are many other items that could be newly discovered evidence, but in the modern era with DNA testing where it is now, that's probably your best case scenario. So they have a glimmer of hope on the Peterson defense team if the DNA yields something interesting.
But it was tested way back then, but their argument is DNA testing is so much better now.
Correct, yes. In fact, as I understand it, the Peterson trial may have been the first case ever to use mitochondrial DNA testing. Since that time, 20 years, DNA testing, as most folks know from using 23andMe and all these other kinds of testing that are used in criminal cases, they have really made incredible advancements.
What's the likelihood, Danny, at this point that he actually gets a new trial?
Well, now we can say that a tiny percentage of the items to be retested very much narrows his chances. And then going from there, it's really a long shot that DNA, after all these years, is even DNA that would yield anything helpful.
Okay. Danny, thank you.
Hey, thanks for watching. Don't miss the Today Show every weekday at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 Pacific on our streaming channel, Today All Day. To watch, head to today.com/allday or click the link right here.